So if you're in the valley right now, know this: you're not stuck. You're not defeated. You're being prepared for something greater. Trust the process, trust the journey, and most importantly, trust God in the valley. Because when you do, you'll look back one day and realize the valley wasn't a place of despair. It was the foundation of your strength, your faith, and your victory. The valley is not a punishment, it's preparation. Too often, when we find ourselves in the low points of life, we rush to conclusions. Why me, we ask? What did I do to deserve this? But let me challenge that perspective. What if the valley isn't about what's wrong with you, but about what's being prepared in you? What if this isn't happening to you, but for you? Think about it. When everything is smooth, when life is on autopilot, there's little opportunity to test your limits, to stretch yourself, or to uncover the depths of your potential. Comfort zones don't demand growth. But in the valley, you're pushed, prodded, and sometimes even broken down, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you into something greater. You see, growth doesn't happen on the mountaintop. On the mountaintop, the view is clear, the air is thin, and the climb is behind you, but nothing grows there. The soil is barren. It's the valley where the soil is rich, where the conditions are ripe for planting and harvesting. The valley is where your roots deepen, where resilience takes hold, and where the real work begins. Let's consider the process of refining precious metals. Gold, for instance, doesn't come out of the earth shiny and perfect. It's buried under layers of rock and impurities. To reveal its beauty, it must go through fire. Intense heat melts it down, separating the impurities and allowing the gold to emerge in its purest form. That's the valley. It's your refining fire. It's uncomfortable, it's painful, but it's necessary to burn away what's holding you back and reveal the brilliance within you. When you're in the valley, it can feel endless. You may look around and see nothing but shadows, challenges, and obstacles. But consider this: shadows only exist where there's light. The fact that you see the shadows means there's a light source nearby. The valley isn't void of hope, it's full of potential. But to access that potential, you have to shift your mindset from one of despair to one of purpose. The valley is also where clarity is born. When life is stripped down to its essentials, when the distractions, comforts, and easy answers are gone, you're left with a raw, unfiltered version of yourself. That's where you discover what truly matters. It's where you stop chasing after what the world tells you is important and start pursuing what's meaningful to your soul. Think about a seed planted deep in the ground. To the outside observer, it might seem buried, lifeless, even forgotten, but beneath the surface, something miraculous is happening. The seed is breaking open, sending roots downward and shoots upward. It's drawing strength from the soil, preparing to burst through and bloom. The valley is your soil. The conditions may feel dark, heavy, and isolating, but they're perfect for growth if you're willing to embrace the process. Now, here's the challenge. Embracing the valley requires patience. It requires faith that what you're going through has a purpose, even if you can't see it yet. It's not about rushing to the next mountaintop or trying to skip the hard parts. It's about trusting that every step, every tear, and every struggle is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what's next. Pain is inevitable. It's a universal experience touching every life in one form or another. But suffering, that's a choice. Suffering is the narrative we build around pain, the belief that pain is permanent, pointless, or unfair. It's not the pain itself that traps us, it's how we interpret it. The difference between pain breaking you and pain building you lies in the story you tell yourself about it. When we're in the valley, it's natural to ask, why is this happening to me? But what if that question isn't serving you? What if the better question is, what is this trying to teach me? How is this refining me? How is this serving my purpose? The answers may not come immediately, but the shift in perspective is where transformation begins. Think about the discomfort you feel in moments of stretching physically, emotionally, or spiritually. That discomfort isn't there to destroy you, it's there to expand you. Pain is the signal that you're stepping outside your limits, breaking through barriers, and moving toward growth. Imagine an athlete training for a race. The burning muscles, the exhaustion, the soreness, none of that is pleasant, but it's part of the process. That pain is proof of progress. The same is true for your life. The discomfort you're feeling right now isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning of a new chapter. It's the seed of your transformation. Seeds are tiny, unassuming, even fragile, but within them lies the potential for something extraordinary. For a seed to grow, it must first be buried, pushed into darkness, and pressed on all sides. The soil feels confining, but it's necessary. Without the pressure, the seed wouldn't crack open and take root. Pain is your soil. It's rich with opportunity for growth, even though it feels restrictive in the moment. The situations that seem to press hardest on you are often the ones that create the deepest roots. Those roots become your foundation, anchoring you for whatever comes next. When you face pain, it's easy to think it's meaningless, that it's some cruel twist of fate. But I challenge you to consider this: God doesn't waste pain. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt has a purpose. Pain often carries the wisdom we couldn't have gained any other way. It strips away the superficial, forcing us to confront what truly matters. Think about the heroes you admire. They didn't become strong, wise, or successful by coasting through life. They faced challenges that broke them open, that demanded more of them than they thought they had to give. Their pain became the catalyst for their purpose. Their stories inspire us not because they avoided valleys, but because they found meaning and strength within them. Pain has a way of clarifying what's truly important. It reveals what's real and what's not, what's essential and what can be let go. In the valley, you're given the opportunity to strip away the unnecessary and connect with your core purpose. You begin to see that the things you thought were holding you back are actually propelling you forward. When you reframe pain as purpose, you stop seeing it as the enemy and start seeing it as a guide. It becomes a teacher, showing you where you need to grow, where you need to heal, and where you need to trust. It's not about pretending the pain isn't real. It's about understanding that its presence doesn't mean you're defeated. It means you're being prepared. Surrendering control is one of the hardest things we're called to do, especially in the valley. Our natural instinct is to grasp tighter, to try harder, to fix everything ourselves. We believe that if we just push a little more, we can bend life to our will. But the truth is, some things are simply beyond our control. No amount of effort or worry can change them. And that's where surrender comes in. But let me be clear, surrendering control doesn't mean giving up or doing nothing. It doesn't mean passivity or resignation. It means letting go of the illusion that you can manage everything, while still taking purposeful, bold steps forward in the areas you can influence. It's about focusing your energy on what's within your power while trusting that God is handling the rest. Imagine you're standing on the edge of a foggy road. You can't see the end of the path and you don't know what lies ahead. The instinct might be to freeze, to wait until the fog clears. But faith isn't about waiting for perfect visibility. It's about stepping forward, trusting that the ground will meet your feet. You don't need to see the entire road. You just need to take the next step. Faith without action is stagnant. It's like a river with no current. Eventually, it becomes still, murky, lifeless. True faith is active. It moves, it flows, it reaches. Trusting God doesn't mean standing still. It means moving forward, even when you don't have all the answers. It means taking the step you can see and trusting that the next one will reveal itself when the time is right. Think about the story of the Israelites crossing the Jordan River. The waters didn't part until the priest carrying the ark stepped into the river. God didn't ask them to figure out how to part the waters. That wasn't their job. Their job was to step forward in faith, even when the river seemed impassable. And when they did, the impossible happened. That's the kind of surrender I'm talking about. It's not passive, it's intentional. It's understanding that while you can't control the outcome, you can control your attitude, your effort, and your willingness to take action. You don't have to know exactly how things will work out. You just have to trust that they will. The struggle in the valley is often about wanting certainty. We want guarantees. We want to know that every step we take will lead to success. But here's the truth: certainty is a luxury you'll rarely have, and it's not a prerequisite for progress. What you need is commitment, a commitment to act, even in uncertainty. Surrendering control is also about releasing the timeline. Sometimes we're so focused on when things will change that we miss the opportunity to grow where we are. Trusting God means accepting that His timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with ours. It's about understanding that the delay isn't denial, it's preparation. Control is an illusion, but action is a choice. Every day you're presented with opportunities to move forward, even in small ways. It could be a single decision, a single conversation, or a single act of courage. And while those steps may feel insignificant in the moment, they're part of a greater plan that you can't yet see. When you release what you can't control, you free yourself from the weight of trying to carry everything alone. That freedom gives you the clarity and energy to focus on what you can do. It's not about striving, it's about aligning. Aligning your actions with your faith, your purpose, and your trust that God is leading you, even when the path is unclear. When you're in the valley, it's easy to let negativity take over. The weight of the situation, the uncertainty, the pain, it can all become a steady drumbeat of doubt in your mind. Thoughts like, I can't do this, or this will never get better, can creep in and become the story you tell yourself. But here's the truth: the words you speak out loud or in your heart have immense power. They're not just reflections of your reality, they shape it. Your words are like seeds. When you speak, you plant them into the soil of your life. If your words are full of doubt, fear, and despair, you're planting seeds that grow weeds. Those weeds choke out hope, joy, and progress. But if your words are full of faith, courage, and life, you plant seeds that grow strength, resilience, and transformation. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing to speak life, even in the midst of it. Think about this: when God created the world, He spoke it into existence. Let there be light, He said, and there was light. That same creative power is reflected in the words you choose to speak. In the valley, when everything around you feels dark, your words can create light. Your words can be a beacon of hope, even when the circumstances don't immediately change. Speaking life isn't about being fake or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about acknowledging the difficulty while declaring a greater truth. It's saying, this is hard, but I trust that God is working for my good. I don't see the way forward yet, but I believe there is one. I feel weak, but I know I am being made stronger, these words. Don't deny the valley they transform, how you walk through it. Consider the story of David in the Bible. When he faced Goliath, the situation was bleak. The odds were impossible. Yet David didn't speak words of fear or defeat. He spoke life. He declared, the Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. His words didn't just reflect his faith, they reinforced it. Your words have the power to do the same. When you're in the valley, they can either lift you up or pull you deeper into despair. That's why it's so critical to guard what you say, even when you're tired, frustrated, or overwhelmed. Negative words may feel justified in the moment, but they don't serve you. They don't help you move forward. When you speak life, you shift your focus from what's wrong to what's possible. You stop magnifying the problem and start magnifying the solution. Even if you can't see the solution yet, speaking life creates a mindset of possibility. It opens the door for hope, and hope is what fuels perseverance. Hope isn't a passive feeling, it's an active force. It's what keeps you taking one step after another, even when the path ahead is unclear. And hope is born in your words. Every time you declare, I will rise from this, or I am being strengthened through this, you're not just expressing hope, you're building it. Your words also have an impact beyond yourself. When you speak life, you inspire those around you. Your declaration of hope can be the spark someone else needs to reignite their own. In the valley, you're not just walking your own journey, you're a light for others. And that light shines brightest when you choose to speak life, even in the darkest moments. So the next time you find yourself in the valley, pay attention to the words you're speaking. Ask yourself, am I planting seeds of growth or weeds of doubt? Am I creating light or adding to the darkness? Because in the end, the words you choose will shape how you experience the valley and how you emerge from it. This isn't your first valley. Think back to the moments in your life when you were sure you couldn't make it. The times when the weight of the world seemed too heavy to bear, when the challenges felt insurmountable, and the road ahead looked impossibly long. Yet here you are, you made it through. The valleys of your past are not just memories, they are evidence of resilience, strength, and grace that carried you through when you thought you couldn't go any further. It's easy to forget those moments when you're in the middle of a new struggle. The valley you're facing now can feel like the only one that's ever existed. The darkness seems deeper, the climb steeper, and the answers more elusive. But let me remind you, you've been here before in one form or another, and every single time you found a way forward, you found strength you didn't know you had, you discovered resources you didn't realize were available. You grew in ways you couldn't have anticipated. Think about those moments, really think about them. What did they teach you? What did you gain? Maybe it was patience, maybe it was courage, maybe it was a deeper faith or a clearer sense of purpose. The valleys you've already walked through weren't wasted. They were shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for what was to come. The lessons you learned then are tools you can use now. Your past victories are proof that the valley is temporary. No matter how deep it feels, no matter how endless it seems, you've seen this pattern before. The storm comes, but it doesn't last forever. The night falls, but the morning always follows. The valleys of your past stand as reminders that the same God who carried you then is carrying you now. He hasn't changed, and his faithfulness hasn't wavered. Sometimes we forget how far we've come because we're so focused on how far we still have to go. But take a moment to look back. Reflect on the battles you fought and won, the obstacles you've overcome, and the moments when you thought you wouldn't make it but did. Those are not just memories, they are markers of your journey, proof that you are capable of enduring, overcoming, and growing. Think about the struggles you faced 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or even just last year. At the time, they probably felt overwhelming. You may have wondered how you'd ever get through them. And yet, here you are, stronger, wiser, and more prepared because of them. Those valleys didn't defeat you, they strengthened you. They became part of the foundation you're standing on now. Remembering the valleys you've already overcome isn't about living in the past, it's about drawing strength from it. It's about recognizing the patterns of grace, resilience, and perseverance that have been present in your life all along. It's about reminding yourself that you've faced darkness before and found your way to the light. When you reflect on those past valleys, you start to see the bigger picture. You realize that every challenge you've faced has played a role in shaping you into who you are today. The valleys weren't detours, they were part of the path. They taught you to trust, to endure, and to grow. So when you're in the middle of a new valley and the road feels uncertain, draw on the strength of your history. Remember the moments when you thought you'd reached your breaking point but discovered you were stronger than you knew. Remember the times when you felt lost but eventually found your way. Remember that the same God who walked with you through those valleys is walking with you now. The valleys you've already overcome are not just chapters in your story, they are proof that you can and will move through this one too. Strength is not something handed to you. It's something forged, something developed in the moments when life feels the hardest. It's in the valley, not on the mountaintop, where true strength is born. The mountaintop is a place of celebration, of clarity, and of rest. But it's not where growth happens. Growth happens in the valleys, in the shadows, in the moments of struggle when you feel like you have nothing left to give. In the valley, you're stripped of the illusion of control. It's where you realize that relying on your own strength alone isn't enough. And that's the gift of the valley. It's the place where you stop trying to carry everything yourself and start leaning into something greater. It's in this space, this uncomfortable and humbling space, that resilience begins to take root. Think about the times in your life when you felt the most stretched, the most challenged. Maybe it was a financial crisis, a loss, a betrayal, or a moment when your plans completely unraveled. At the time, it probably felt overwhelming, like you were being crushed under the weight of it all. But look closer, those were also the moments when you discovered strength you didn't even know you had. They were the moments when you learned to persevere, to endure, and to keep moving forward even when the road ahead seemed impossible. Strength isn't something you find when everything is going your way. It's something you uncover in the moments when nothing seems to be going right. It's forged in the fire of adversity, shaped by the pressure of challenges, and tempered by the decision to keep going when quitting feels like the easier option. The valley may feel like a setback, but in reality, it's a setup for something greater. It's the training ground where you're being prepared for the next chapter of your life. The valley also has a way of clarifying what really matters. When you're in a low place, you're forced to let go of distractions and focus on what's truly important. You stop wasting energy on things that don't serve your purpose, and you start pouring everything you have into what does. That kind of focus, that kind of determination, is where strength is born. But the valley isn't just about physical or emotional resilience, it's about spiritual strength too. It's in the valley where faith becomes more than just a concept, it becomes a lifeline. When you have nowhere else to turn, you learn to trust in a way you never have before. You stop relying solely on your own abilities and start leaning into a greater power. You begin to see that even in the darkest moments, there's a purpose to the pain, a reason for the struggle. Strength also comes from perspective. When you're in the valley, it's easy to feel like you're stuck, like this is all there is. But what if the valley isn't the end? What if it's the middle of your story? What if this moment, as challenging as it feels, is the bridge to something extraordinary? Every valley you face is an opportunity to grow, to deepen your faith, and to prepare for the mountaintop moments that lie ahead. The valley is also where humility is born. It's where you realize that you don't have to have all the answers, and that's okay. It's where you learn to ask for help, to lean on others, and to trust in a power greater than yourself. That humility doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you. It gives you the courage to keep going, even when you're unsure of the path ahead. And here's the thing about strength that doesn't just serve you in the moment. The strength you build in the valley becomes the foundation for everything that follows. It's what allows you to face future challenges with confidence, to step into new opportunities with courage, and to support others when they're walking through their own valleys. So, while the valley may feel like a place of struggle, it's also a place of transformation. It's where you become stronger, wiser, and more capable than you ever thought possible. The valley is not a punishment, it's a process. A refining process that's shaping you into the person you're meant to be.